Well, welcome everybody to Race Country Cottage Thai house build, and this is the week 25 update. We've had a fantastic week. It's been nothing but blue skies, dry weather, so the work site's dried out, easy access, and no hindrance to doing anything. So what happened this week? The tiler continued working in the bathrooms. We've got the second bathroom just about complete. He's started on the kitchen. We've had the floor leveling people back, and they've been establishing formwork around the house for the pathways that are in the blueprint around the house. We did some slight alterations to that, which you'll see. Towards the end of the week, they even managed to pour the concrete. So we've got some hard surface to walk around if it's raining and muddy. The painters were here for about 3 days doing some work. And there's been a few other bits and pieces happened this week, all very exciting. The house is moving forward at a good speed, and we're really happy with that. So the content over the coming weeks will be more about finishing, the slow work of tiling and other small pieces. So I don't know the volume of content I'll be able to keep up going forward, but I'll do my best to share the weekly updates. Anyway, come along and find out what week 25 held for all of us. Cheers, bye. Well, this has been another productive week that's taken us through to October 5th. First thing on the agenda was our property line. So this shows the property in context to the area around us and the road to town. This is the actual property, and this is the north boundary line. It runs for 126 meters. We've needed to clear out the land on each side of the boundary line for fencing later on. So we'd had a local farmer and a fellow who deals a lot in wood come in and find the back post and the front property line post, clear the land and put a string line through, so we got it exactly right. And then he put in some bamboo posts to delineate it, and the backhoe cleaned up so we can get fencing done at a later date. So just the other property line, this is the front looking south for 46 meters. This is looking back west. It runs 118 meters to the back of the property. So about 3.5 rye. So the backhoe was here this week to clear land from around the edge of the house down at the plinth beam level to make way for the footpaths that need to go in. So we'd filled the land up, but it hasn't sunk all that much in the last 6 months. So it needed to be dug out, and it's great because it can be redistributed elsewhere. It's a lot of fine work around the edge of the house, as you can see, not to disturb any pipes. So this is 1.5 meter and a pathway around the house, but we decided originally the builder was going to put 2 meters, but we've reduced it to 1.5 meters, and actually it's 1.2 meters of concrete and 30 centimeters of rock that'll go adjacent to the house, which you'll see later. So this house blueprint shows the bottom of the path 80 centimeters below the house slab, where the top of the path will be 70 meters from the floor slab around the plinth beam at the bottom of the house. So that's what that line is drawn around, and that's what the backhoe is working to in terms of clearing out the dirt, so the team can get in by hand to get the formwork done. So here he's working in front of the garage. We've decided that at this point in time we'll just do the sidewalks. We'll leave the driveway to be poured at the end when everybody's finished, and that's the kind of drawing that we've got a quote on, 6 meters wide down to 5 meters. And this is just some shots of the cleared land around for the paths to be installed, to allow for the framework to be installed. That's the plumbing drawing, so they have the famous blue pipe. So before they can install sidewalks, they need to connect the plumbing that's been poured into the floors, the drains, the toilets, water supply. They need to be run out underneath the sidewalks so they can be then reconnected to the plumbing system later at a later date towards the end of the build. So just some shots of the famous Thai blue pipes according to the blueprint requirements. Once they had that piping done, then they started to mark out and lay out the pathways around the house. Here they're creating a 30 millimeter or 0.3 centimeter gap between the sidewalk and the side of the house. You'll see later that'll be filled with river stone just to create a bit of a design element. And there's also a dip from the house by 1 centimeter from the house side of this path down to the yard side of the path, so the water will run off away from the house on the path. Here they're just manually digging out some trenching to put the formwork into, supported by wooden stakes pounded into the ground, as you can see in here. Then the formwork is generally in all around. They use rented formwork for this. So the path's going to be 10 centimeters deep. So there's just a few drone images taken so you can see the outline of the footpath perhaps at this height better. And the formwork's all around the area that's dug out, and a bit more to go in, as you can see in this picture. And here they've got the tamping machine, the motorized tamping machine, to having laid down sand all around. And it's got it level. They use the tamping machine to pack it down tight to form the base for the concrete. So the ground is extremely hard here. It's got this layer of sand that they've put down, and with this mechanical tamping machine that pounds it down well between the dirt and the sand to make a good base. And I mentioned about putting gravel beside the sidewalk in the house. Here you can see the image. So the space beside the house will have a geotech fabric with this gravel on top. There'll be black tiles on the edge, so it should stand out. So here the backhoe has returned to the house. So when they put the path in midweek and got it all around, been a bit of misunderstanding or misreading the blueprint. There needed to be wider spaces made available around the steps. The steps come out from the house, and you need a landing area, so the backhoe had to pull the dirt back to make these areas. So you can see the landings finished off here, and they've raised the metal rebar, the mesh they've put in as well ahead of the concrete pour, and they put chairs underneath it. So here's just again the drone having a look at the pathway. Now it's correctly formed up the way it should be according to the blueprints, with wider areas at each step to facilitate getting on and off the stairs. So the stairs are about 2 meters wide and about 45 centimeters, I think. There's 3 steps from the ground to the floor. So I think it's 45 centimeters. And this week we had the painting team arrive on site. There was about 5 of them, the boss and four painters. And they were here to do the primer or base coat and 1 coat of the finish for the internal walls and the internal ceilings. So first the primer or base coat went on, very white looking, and that was then followed by doing the ceilings with the base coat. Once all the base coat was completed, the team then moved on to doing the first coat of the wall and ceiling color. So we picked an alabaster for our walls, which is a kind of off-white. And then for our ceilings, we picked what's called a cloud white. Shows a bit dark here when it's wet, but it dries to a very nice sheen, nice finish. Didn't want a stark white, so it's a nice cloud white. And here's the results of the first coat of paint around on the walls. You can see the alabaster color. It's going to complement nicely with the SBC wood floor color. And the drapes, once again, didn't want white walls. These are, alabasters and off-white. And then tiling works. We're going on again this week, and they'll go on for many weeks. Tyler moved into the second or spare bathroom, guest bathroom, and started his task of doing our feature wall with the wood look tile, wood look porcelain tile, and then doing the side wall tiles in the cream color that complement each other very nicely. And we'll have a light non-slip floor as well, but I think all the floor tiling gets done at a later date. Here he's just doing the trim edging, and there's what it looked like when it's partially done. He also spent some time in the kitchen this week because various other people were doing things and he had to move out of their way in the bathrooms. So he starts by putting the countertop tiles on. That's where it starts. So along here, I use a vibrating machine to help, compress the tile into the tile cement. And checks it all with levels to make sure it's nice and even. So he's got the vibrator and he's got a rubber hammer to make it down to fit all the levels. And then he started on the tile that faces the lower cupboards. And he had to take some excess concrete off the edge of the bench before he could start the tiling. Plain light beige that matches nicely with a pattern floor tile. So just a little tour of the work in the kitchen. Tyler, well, he's been busy in the bathrooms. He's today, Sunday, started to work here in the kitchen. He's got the kitchen countertop tiles all in place, which you can have a see of the color. And then he started on the side cupboards, or the lower cupboards, to put the tiles that'll cover the face, together with what they call the eyebrow, which matches the streaks in the tile. All very somewhat planned, but just worked out that way. So all the tiles are in place, even on the island, and there'll be a waterfall edge at both ends of the island that'll have the tile that's on the top on the edge, but the sides of the cupboards, they'll have the plain tile you can see at the end. So a few weeks work in here, I think, to do all the tiling and backsplash on the wall. Inside the cupboards will all be tiled as well. So we show you the updates as it progresses. Cheers. So on Saturday, it was time to get the concrete going and pour the floors around the house, or the sidewalks around the house. Here, cement truck from what they call JoJo's has arrived. There's a couple of different cement dealers around. CPAC and JoJo have been the ones that have been used on this site, in this build. There's the building site dog, ready to greet the driver. He lives around the build site and is everybody's friend. So once the truck has arrived, it was time to start pouring. Get that concrete going. So there is 12 cubic meters of concrete, I'm told, used to pour the sidewalks. For those that want to know volume and statistics, it's a fair amount of concrete. So as it comes out, they pull and push and poke it around. They regularly were lifting the wire mesh into the concrete even though it's sitting on some chairs to hold it up. As they're walking and standing on it, they push it down, so they're pulling it up to make sure it's embedded. So here they are with it's been poured down. They're now trying to do an initial level, get it to the right level. When they do this, a lot of the water comes to the surface, and they have to wait probably about 3 hours or so before it hardens enough to walk on, and then they can do some hand troweling to make it smooth. These are just some shots of them at work around. You can see using the straight edge to smooth out the concrete to make it look good. And here we are with some of the finished look. They're dried up and ready for better troweling and more troweling. You can see some edges in the previous shot, not in this one, but they've used a trowel to cut in joints in the cement, and they use a broom to do a broom finish to make it. They do edge trimming there. You can see the shot there of edge trimming and the joint. Other matters this week we took care of was the team that built the house have left the camp, and some new people have moved in. These are the finishing people doing some stone work, and the tiler are now on site. And the toilet was full that they used, so they had to bring this truck in to pump it out. The curtain people were back. We've ordered one room of curtains to see what they look like, and we're happy with the material and the color and the fabric and how it'll work. If we're happy with it, then we'll do the whole house with that. And the back porch gets a lot of west afternoon sun, so we're talking to the curtain company. We're going to do some roller blinds so that we can pull down manually on the back porch, and these are some of the color options. They're black out, so they'll keep the sun off the back porch. We also had a look at doors that match our wooden SPC floor. Took a drive to SCG shop to have a look at this, and that was some skirting board, the 307 in the picture, that matches generally with the floor SPC. That's it for this week. Thanks for joining me, and I look forward to sharing week 26.